Namaste everyone and welcome to your Yin Yoga class for the month of April. So this class is perfect for anybody who may be experiencing any back pain or digestive issues. So I put this class together to really help to aid digestion, any stomach problems, and also any back pain, specifically the lower back. So for this class, you will need quite a few props, but if you don't have them, do not worry. There are always options to do the poses without. So currently we have 2 blocks, which are these flat gray ones. We have 2 bricks, which are the green ones, and we have a yoga strap as well. We also have a bolster. So I say these are just to, enhance the practice. The most important part is turning up to a mat. So do not let this put you off. If you don't have them, you can practice. So we're going to begin on our mat, and we're going to start with some diaphragmatic breathing. So I like to pop myself up onto a block or 2 to lift up out of the hips. It's a little bit more comfortable, especially if you have any lower back pain. So the hips are just that little bit higher than the knees. You can pull the skin away from the bottom so you feel that you are not rounding through the lower back. And we want to sit up nice and tall so the spine is upright, alert and relaxed. So just bringing your awareness to the breath and notice where it is most prominent in the body, specifically the lungs. Are you breathing at the top of the lungs? You feel like you're expanding right deep into the lower part. I'm really going to encourage you to breathe in and out of the nose today. And for all of the classes in yoga, there's the odd time where I'll invite you to exhale, sigh out through the mouth. And if you do struggle with nasal breathing, when you do feel like the breath is getting a bit caught, just take a big sigh out of the mouth and then start again. So we've got this diaphragm, this large muscle here, just where the ribs are, the lower parts of the ribs. And when we inhale, that diaphragm flattens, and that's why the rib cage expands all the way around the torso. And when we exhale, it creates this dome shape, like as it relaxes, and which is why the rib cage draws in. So if you want, you can place your hands just gently on the ribs, the area of the ribs, just above the waist here. And try to feel the expansion of the ribs as you breathe in. And the softening of the rib cage as you breathe out. Diaphragm flattens, expands as you breathe in. It relaxes, it creates that dome shape, the rib cage falls in. And just let the arms relax down, but keeping this awareness of the breath. Expanding, opening, filling up the chest cavity. Softening and falling, getting a sense of letting go on the exhalation. And want to feel the breath most prominently all in this upper part of the torso, and just let that stomach relax. So often, if we're experiencing stress or anxiety, it often targets the gut. The gut works very similar to the brain. We experience stress here, which is why so many people have digestive issues. So when we turn on that parasympathetic state of the nervous system, We start to work with the nervous system in this way, starts to relax the physical body, relax the mind, and that impacts any digestive problems that we may have. So relaxation is one of the things that we can do, and the breathing can switch on that relaxation, can switch on that parasympathetic state of the nervous system. So we start to come out of that fight and flight and move towards that calmer, more balanced state of the nervous system. And I'm going to encourage you to keep with this diaphragmatic breathing throughout the whole of the class, this nasal breathing, just to see what impact it has if you're not familiar with this type of breathing, what it has on your physical body, the mental body, the energetical body, if that's something you're familiar with, and also the impact that it has, especially if you're experiencing any pain in the stomach at the moment. Just this breathing, see if it can ease any of the pain, the cramping, the bloating that you may be feeling. Good, and then just bring your palms together at the center of the chest. And just setting an intention for this class, an intention for you. Maybe it can be inspired for the rest of the month. And if this intention doesn't come to you right away, you've planted a seed of intention to set one. So perhaps at the end of the class, it might come to you. And then when you're ready, just blinking the eyes open. And we're going to begin by coming down onto the ground for our first shape. So for the first shape that we're going to do our spinal twist. You can use blocks, cushions, a bolster is what I'm going to use just to demonstrate. Now, I'll pop it further down so you can see what we're going to do. So when you're on your back, we're coming into a spinal twist to begin. So if there is any back pain at the moment, please, again, be extra mindful. If it's chronic, then definitely seek some advice, some medical advice. But this is here because some of you may just go to this angle where your knees are only slightly tilted, then you'll need extra support. Some of you probably can go right the way down to the ground, and this shoulder, this opposite shoulder, needs to stay flat. If it starts to lift off, it's not giving you the stretch that you need. So this is where support comes in. You let your knees rest down. You keep your shoulders flat. Your gaze can be upright. You can bring this hand and rest it across the stomach, or you can take it out to the side. Some of you may want to bring the knees further up to the chest to get more into the lower back. This is my preferred version. Some of you may prefer to go a little bit further away to get more into the hips. So I prefer to bring them all the way up and over here. And just let your legs be heavy and relaxed here. Make sure you're in a really supported position. And these twists are very gentle. They gently nourish the organs, nourish the spine. And as you settle into this first shape, I'm just going to invite you to come back to that diaphragmatic breathing. Feeling the rise and fall of that soft nasal breath that moves in and out. And it might feel unusual in this twist to breathe in that same way. So you can expand more into the side, into the waist, the ribs, the outer edge of the hip. And just begin to allow your body to really let go here. We're constantly gripping with the mind. The mind attaches to objects. It attaches to motivation, to goals. It attaches to thoughts. The mind is constantly gripping. And with that gripping, that clinging, the body also does the same. So just notice if you are clinging, if you are gripping, if you think about that, especially we grip with the stomach, what impact that's going to have on our digestion. So I invite you as you come into each shape to really focus on softening the muscles, letting go of gripping, letting go of attachments, letting go of thoughts that come in and out of the mind, letting go of gripping around the hips, gripping the jaw, gripping the inner ears. And let your body melt down into the ground. And just notice how good that feels to let go, to surrender. Maybe it doesn't feel so good at first for you. Maybe there's a bit of a fear there of really letting go into the present moment. If you are experiencing that, then you're not alone. It takes practice, it takes patience, it takes consistency. And whatever your experience may be, by coming back to the breath, you're coming back to the present, you're coming back to the body. And just take wherever you are 5 breaths in and 5 breaths out. And after your 5 breaths, just draw that outer leg into the chest a little bit more. Engage the core, support the other leg. Your lower back is imprinted. You can just hug those knees in, taking hold of the thighs if there's any issues with the knees, otherwise the shins, and really keep that lower back fully melting down to the ground. So that's super important. If the bottom lifts, it just means maybe you need to use a yoga strap to pull the yoga strap around the shins or the thighs. That lower back needs to be right the way imprinted down into the mat. Relax the shoulders, relax the chest, even though you're hugging in with the arms. Try not to grip with the shoulders, grip with the chest or the jaw or the throat. And slowly, if you've got a bolster cushions or bricks, you bring it over to the other side. And again, you just very slowly support yourself, the knees all the way onto the other side. Remember, knees a little bit more in, gets right into the lower back. Also, you can keep slowly easing your props further away from the body as the knees come closer to the ground, as the body begins to open up. So it's better to find your edge first before that shoulder peels off. And you can always slightly adjust and move the props as you drop into the shape as you relax and let go more into this Yin Yoga shape. And then just whilst you're here, focus on breathing right into the right side of the body, or the side of the body that's open. The outer edge of the hip, the waist, the ribs. And on this side, I'm just going to leave you to become the observer. So I'll give a little bit of guidance on one side. And then I'm just going to give you some space and silence to just focus on the breath, the body, and let everything else fade away. And if your mind has got distracted to things external outside of the body, know that that is common and that is completely normal. But what we do then is we notice and we bring it back to the breath. And then I'm going to invite you to take 5 breaths exactly where you are. 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. And when you have taken your 5 breaths, don't rush. You can bring that extended arm back in. You can gently support the knees back into the chest again and just hugging those knees in. Lower back melts down. And maybe you can actually notice that lower back drops down more easily into the ground. Maybe you can feel that spreading. Maybe you can feel the abdomen is relaxed. The hips have started to soften. In the next couple of shapes, we're really going to work with the hips, external rotation of the hip. Also working with the glutes, the IT band, all of the area. The tightness in those areas can often affect the lower back. Also opens up the liver for detoxification, the cleansing. The liver is one of the organs for the season of spring, for cleansing, for clearing, for letting go. And then when you're ready, just slowly letting go of the legs, letting Maybe one drop down, supporting the other, resting there. And then just gently roll onto the side of the body and pressing up into a seated position, just to observe for the next part. So this I'm going to give 2 demonstrations. So if you don't have bricks and blocks, you're going to do the first version. And feel free to experiment with 2. We're going to do 5 minutes on each side so that you can try one version and then move into the next. So you start on the ground again, and you place your right ankle on top of the left knee. And that in itself might be enough for you. If you feel you want more, you can bring the opposite leg off the ground. You can take hold of the thigh. If you're rounding through the shoulders and the back, the next version that I'm going to demonstrate is going to help. But you can also grab a yoga strap. You feed it through and around the back of the thigh. Keep the shoulders from lifting. So don't let the shoulders strain. And you can also take it around the shin, and that gives you an even deeper stretch all the way into the glutes, all the way into the IT band. So that's that version. I'm going to demonstrate the second one. Remember, this is a recording, so you can fast forward here. You can also come back to this and do one version one time and another version another. So we've got one block. You place the other one just on top so that it's lifted a little bit here. So you can see there is one and then there's another on top of it here, just resting with a gap. Then you can have a brick, and that is going to be for your head. So you come down onto the ground and you have your yoga strap as well to the side. And your upper back here, your shoulder blades rests quite nicely on top of that elevated block. And you have the brick underneath your head. So that in itself is really comfortable. Okay, so that is just nice to experiment anyway. Then from here, we are going to bring the leg in. So we lift that left leg off. Some of you might just stay here. Very nice and comfortable. Otherwise, you're going to take this yoga strap and you're going to take it underneath the left arm. So I've got my right leg on top. I have my left arm here. And then I reach up with my right hand and I grab this yoga strap. I start to take the right arm behind my head. So that acts a little bit like a cushion now. So the yoga strap goes around the back of my head. I grab it with my right hand. And then with my left arm, I feed that underneath. So it goes under the yoga strap. And I can bring that leg closer in with the left arm. And then this leg can go down. This is for people who are pretty flexible in their hips. So again, please don't cause any strain, any pinching. And you can see here that I can feed this yoga strap a little bit closer in, and this arm, I don't need that pillow anymore, that brick anymore. And I can hook that elbow just to bring it in a little bit more closer, and I can relax here. Obviously, you want this hand to try and relax as much as it can because it will be working a little bit to keep that leg in. I have the yoga strap too. And I breathe here. And if it gets too much at any time, you just bring that leg in, you bring the ankle back on top, you let your head rest onto the brick. Good. So this arm behind the head might get a little bit tired. So for me, I can feel it perhaps maybe get a little bit numb. So after a minute or two, I let it settle. And then instead, I take hold of the shin. And I bring the leg in. And for some of you, you might want to explore straightening that left leg a little bit. Or different variations here that you can explore. And if you do have the yoga strap behind the head, just check in with that right arm. And then I would recommend now loosening it off, removing the strap, stay in the position I am, or move your bricks and blocks out of the way and come and lie flat. Relax the shoulders away and down into the mat. And take 5 breaths in and out, wherever you may be. And when you're ready, on your last exhalation, you let go. If you have hold of the leg, let the foot come down. If the strap is onto the leg, you free it. You let that leg go down. And then just seeing how that feels, and let your head rest on the brick if you have the brick there. See how that feels in the hips and the IT band and the glutes. And then place both hands onto the tummy and just taking your rebound, whether it's flat onto your back or whether it's resting on the blocks and the brick, if that feels comfortable. Soothing diaphragmatic breaths, calming, relaxing the abdomen. Well done. And then coming onto the other side, now you know what version you did. I'm going to stay here in this option, readjusting that brick behind my head. I take the yoga strap around the ankle. I take the yoga strap behind the head. I take the right arm, I pull it in. My brick I lose. And I reach that left arm up behind the head. I grab hold of the yoga strap and I let my head just rest on the back of that left arm. I hook my right elbow around to keep it nice and secure. I let the right leg relax. Again, this is, as I say, quite an advanced shape to come into. It's not really particularly yin, but I find it really nice to soothe and ease any tightness in the glutes and the IT band. And you are able to relax into it, perhaps not for as long as the yin yoga poses can be helpful. But it's a nice way to begin, and then you can go into your yin variation. Remember, you can come out at any time if that arm goes numb. I recommend, if you are in the version with the yoga strap, to take 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. Before slowly coming into another version. We will remain just for a little while longer. And then taking 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. And after your 5 breaths, just like you did on the other side, slowly coming out. Straighten the legs, either coming into corpse pose or just resting with the bricks, the blocks. Let those hips fully relax down. See how that feels. If there's any pinch in the lower back, then put your feet back flat onto the ground. Hands onto the tummy and just let the abdomen again relax with each breath in, with each breath out. Okay, very good. And then pop your soles of feet onto the ground. You can roll to the side off the blocks and the bricks and just place them to spot off your mat. So we're now going to come into happy baby. Really good for the lower back. Really good for, again, any digestive issues. It's good for constipation. It's good for bloating. It's good for pain here. So we take one knee in, again, take hold of the back of the thigh if it hurts to press down onto the shin, and then the other. Your knees now are apart. So they're not together, they're apart. You should feel this in the hips. Watch that bottom doesn't lift again. You want to keep the lower back melting into the mat. That is important for the spine to be long. So you can stay here. We'll all begin there. And if you want to have a look so you know what's coming next, you then can take hold of the backs of the thighs and the soles of the feet face up towards the sky. If you're feeling okay and the bottom isn't lifting, so really encourage you to focus on that and not just jump into this pose. Otherwise, you can take hold of the outside edge of the feet. You bring your arms on the inside of the legs. Take hold of the little toe side of the foot. And maybe you come into the full variation. But watch again. Here, I'm just pressing into the middle of my back. You want the lower back to melt down. So we're all going to start just by either taking hold of the ankles, of the shins, or the thighs. And we're going to breathe there. Feel this on the inner thighs. Again, this liver channel into the hips, into the groins. And if there is any issues here where you experience a lot of tightness in the groins, the hips, I would recommend just stay in this version as long as there's no pain and not advancing into the other variations. And then if it feels okay, you can come into that in-between stage, taking hold of the back side, pulling gently that lower back down into the mat. You'll feel this in the hamstrings a bit more, into the glutes again. And if you want to, you bring your heels in, you take hold of the little toe edge of the foot. You take hold of the feet, but don't let that bottom lift again. We're just going to remain here for a couple of minutes. If it gets too intense, revert back to another version. Very good. Stay with the breath. Keep that awareness inwards. Keep the breaths of that diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe you can breathe more into the back of the body. Feel that back expand into the mat. Well done, staying with it. I'm going to take 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. And on your 5th and final exhalation, if your feet, soles of feet are pointing up to the sky, bring the heels in. Slide your hands up the legs, close the knees together, and then again, support with the back, hands on the backs of thighs, one leg, and then the other. And then for your rebound, if you have a bolster, you can use the bolster. If you need to use cushions or blocks to elevate, whatever you have, because we want a little bit of elevation, we're going to cross over the shins and just let the backs of the thighs there rest on top of the bolster. And this is lovely and soothing for any pain in the abdomen. In this area, it helps to soften across the pelvis, soften the hips, and relax all of this area. And then slowly swap over the cross of the legs. And feel the breath in the upper torso. Feel the breath in the rib cage and the chest. And then slowly just bring the knees together. Let the legs rest. The backs of the knees rest on the bolster just for a moment. Got bricks or blocks, so just adjust them so that the lower back melts into the ground, the knees are supported. And we'll come back to that one at the very end, and then just moving any of the props out of the way. For your next one, if you want to sit up, you roll to the side. Again, you gently press up into a seated position. So I'm going to have 2 bricks beside me here, and then I'm going to show you. So we're going to come into supported bridge. So opening through the pelvis, nice for the spine. So we come in with engagement here. So we press with the feet, we engage the hamstrings, the quads, the glutes. We press up and we lift up. Now, I recommend that you begin on the lowest level of your first brick. It is right there into the tailbone, and the cheeks here, the bottom, just come a little bit off the brick. If you want to go higher, the next level I suggest is actually to pop another brick underneath. So you've got more surface area here supporting the pelvis. Otherwise, you can, if you've only got 1 brick, you can go middle level. Some of you get right into the tailbone, may go here. It broadens across the chest, the abdomen. So I'm going to begin on the lowest level. And we're going to start again with that diaphragmatic breathing. Expanding into the front, the back, the sides of the body with the inhalation. Feel the rib cage expand, the diaphragm flatten. As you exhale, get that sense of softening, of letting go, of surrendering, of relaxing more and more into the shape that you're making with the body. Feeling that lower back ease into the brick. Feeling any tension and tightness just melting away. Then if you want, you can press up and maybe go another level higher with the brick. We'll pop another second brick there. Lifting up through the chest, broaden across the collarbones. Make sure there's no pinching in that lower back. It should feel it's softening, spreading. The abdomen descending, relaxing. Maybe you decide to go another level higher. Again, it's not about the height and how the higher you go, the better the shape is for you. It's more about what you're feeling, what feels good. Does it feel more open or does it feel too intense? Feeling that spread of the skin all the way across the pelvis, the hips. Feel the gravitational pull down into the air. Feel how soft the breath is or how it has become. And 5 breaths here, 5 inhalations, 5 exhalations. And after your 5 breaths, it does require again a little bit of pressure through the feet. You lift your hips a bit high, you squeeze the glutes, you slide the brick onto the next lowest level. Keep control and then just settle there. Breathe in and breathe out. Then again, you press through the feet, engage the legs, you lower down to the next level if you have gone another level lower. And then again, the final thing, and then you feel all that tingling through the spine. And it might feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but just let the sensation settle. Take the feet wide, drop the knees in. And just rest there for a moment. Feet as wide as your mat, knees dropping into center. Feel that tingling all the way down the lower back. Feel the abdomen relax. And as long as those sensations have settled a little bit, you're going to roll to the side as we have throughout the class and press yourself up into a seated position. And then we're going to do a little rebound and a pose or child's pose. Nice to have a bolster here. You have your big toes to touch. You make sure that the tailbone is drawing down. The abdomen is back. You've got space here for the abdomen. You press the sternum gently into the bolster. I'm not going to do it because that's where my microphone is. I'm going to just do it onto the forehead. You can let the forearms drop, let the shoulders relax. So you can bring it right the way in. You can get in between the legs if that look feels better for you to support the stomach. But really, I think it's nice to have space for the abdomen and have the sternum rested. And just really let gravity take over here. Breathing into the lower back. And take 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. And then when you're ready, press the forearms, press the palms. Again, use your bolster. If you don't have a bolster, then rolled up blanket nice and thick into a tube or a tube shape or cushions, because you're going to rest your knees on top. And this really helps that low back again to relax. It helps the abdomen to relax. We make sure the heels are touching on the opposite side of the bolster. We draw the tailbone in and down. We let the low back come down. Get yourself nice and warm and cozy. You tuck the shoulder blades in. You extend to pull the shoulder blade in, armpit lift, extend one arm away. Pull the shoulder blade in, lift up through the armpit, extend the other arm away. So you feel the shoulder blades completely down. You feel the back, the whole of the back spreading into the mat. You move any props out of the way. You lengthen through the back of the head and the neck, maybe chin to chest, down. Soften through the jaw, soften the eyes. Soften through the muscles of the face. Just feel the rise and fall of the breath. In and out of the body. And again, let most of the breath expand into the upper thoracic. So into the upper back, into the front of the chest, the sides of the ribs, and just let that stomach just stay soft, stay relaxed. And now just allow the rhythm of the breath to guide you into a deeper state of relaxation that you've already tapped into through your yin practice. And I'm just going to invite you to visualize or imagine a warm light that is just shining down across the abdomen, across the pelvis, warming up this area, relax in this area, soothing this area, and there's a particular part that feels uncomfortable, just shine that light there. Breathe into it. Let it soften, let it relax. This light penetrates all the way through to the lower back. And that warmth spreading across the lower back. Feel that lower back relaxing under the heat of this light. Under the heat of your awareness. It melts down, spreads down into the ground. And if there's any gripping or clinging here, shine this light. Breathe into that area and let it soften, let it relax. Let any tension or tightness just fall away. And any sense of calm, relaxation, and peace that you may be experiencing in this area of the body, let it filter out down to the legs, up to the top of the head, all the way through the body, feeling this warmth spreading, this relaxation spreading, having an overall sense of calm, of balance. And any areas that you notice the clinging or gripping, just on the exhalation, let that clinging, gripping go. Just let go for these next few minutes. Let go and surrender to the mat, surrender to your Shavasana, surrender to the present moment. And then with your next breath in, just cross one hand and then cross the other hand over the abdomen. Feeling the breath gently move in and out of this area. Calm, soft, relaxed breathing. And just repeating the mantra, I feel calm, I feel ease, I feel balance. I'm feeling calm, ease and balance in this area of the body. Breathing in calm, breathing out calm. Breathing in ease, breathing out ease. Breathing in balance, breathing out balance. And start to bring your awareness to that external environment, the sounds you can hear. Feeling the body and the parts of the body that are connected to the ground. Wiggling and moving the feet, the ankles, the toes, spreading the toes. Feel that sense of movement. Until you're ready to bring the soles of the feet maybe on top of the bolster, on top of the cushions, the bricks. Let your knees drop to the side, let your body roll over. breathing in and out here. And then pushing up into a seated position. Find your comfortable seated position with the palms together at the heart center. Coming back to your intention. Feeling any sense of calm, ease, and balance from your practice. Acknowledging it, being grateful for it. Remember, you can come back to it at any time. And you can come back to this class. Watch it over and over again, and each experience will be different. So, bowing the head to the hands, opening the eyes, namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me again. Share any feedback, make any comments, and keep practicing.